First and foremost, all praises are due to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Kadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone for teaching us his truth. Salutations to the brothers around the four corners of the earth who are teaching this word in truth and sincerity. And shalom to the hopeful elect who listen and believe in this word. This is Brother Karatazai Abad coming at you with another lesson. This one is entitled The Biblical Ethnicities of the Nations. I'm going to start off reading Isaiah 25, verse 7. And he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. Let's read verse 8, Isaiah 25, verse 8. He will swallow up death in victory, and the Lord Yahweh will wipe away tears from off all faces, and the rebuke of his people shall be taken away from off all the earth, for the Lord hath spoken it. So verse 7 is speaking about, when it says covering cast, it's talking about the nationalities that you see now here on the left side on your screen are not the real nationalities of these people. It's a covering cast. They've been hidden. The true ethnicities are in the Bible, okay? And many of these people, these nations that are on this chart are our enemies. They're the heathen nations. We have, of course, the white man, Edom, Esau. He's the sons of the wicked, and everybody else is the sons of men. And of course, the Hebrew Israelites up top, Israel, are the sons of God. So those are three distinct, separate groups of people. And so the covering cast in Isaiah 25, verse 7, is actually talking about the hidden. You know, they're hiding behind these names. But many of these countries are our enemies. Many of these countries were against us in the Bible, in the Old Testament, in the scriptures, wanted to see our downfall because Israel was special. We were a chosen people. So we have many jealous nations. And the number one nation on there is Edom, or the Edomites, okay? Esau, so-called white man, that's our number one enemy, the sons of the wicked. And everybody else falls underneath him, the heathens. So there are many scriptures that detail people coming against us. We have some scriptures in Lamentations. And of course, we have Psalms 83, verse 1. So let me go to Psalms 83, verse 1 to give you an example of the nations that have been against us. So we have a lot of enemies because we're chosen, we're special. So we have a lot of jealous nations against us. So the covering cast is hiding their true nationalities. But now that the truth is out, now that we know that we're the Hebrew Israelites, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, we comprise the 12 tribes. And the truth is out now. So there's no more hiding. You know, you can't hide behind the covering cast. Let's go to Psalms chapter 83 and verse 1. Psalms 83, verse 1. Keep not thou silence, O God, O Yahweh. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Yahweh. For lo, thine enemies make atonement, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. Verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. So this is talking about various nations that have been against us from old times, from the Old Testament on to the New Testament, on to today. Nobody respects us. Nobody likes us. But, you know, our time is coming. We got next. Let's read verse 4, Psalms 83, verse 4. They have said, come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So this was actually a thing that the heathen nations were doing against us, and Edom led the charge, of course. The sons of the wicked, they led the charge for us not to be in remembrance of who we are. And of course, we lost the remembrance of who we are. You know, we went through the slave trade, we went through many captivities, but now the truth is out now. You know, we've come back to our culture. We've come back to knowing who we are through the Holy Spirit. And, you know, the day of the Lord is fast approaching. So now we know who we are. The curses are being lifted off of us, and they're actually going on Esau and the other nations. Psalms 83, verse 5, for they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. So all these nations have been against us, even to this day. You have various nations coming in our neighborhoods and the urban cities, the Ishmaelites, the Asians, you know, Moab and Ammon, coming in our neighborhoods, setting up stores, disrespecting us, selling our women weaves, etc. Psalms 83, verse 6, the tabernacles of Edom, which is Esau, and the Ishmaelites, so-called Arabs. And of course, Edom is a so-called white man of Moab, so-called Chinese, and the Hagarenes, okay? Those are also, I believe, the Ishmaelites. Gebel and Ammon, which is the Japanese, and Amalek, those are the red-faced Jews, so-called Jewish, the fake Jews, okay? The fake Jews that are in our land in Israel. Amalek, okay? Which is, he's the Edomite. The Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Verse 8, Ashur also is joined with them. They have Hopen, the children of Lot. What does that word Hopen mean? Let me see what that means. Okay. Actually, let's get a translation comparison. This is verse 8. Psalms 83, verse 8. Assyria has joined them too, and is allied with the descendants of Lot. Okay. And we know Lot, during the time when Sodom and Gomorrah got burnt up, and Lot and his daughters left out, Lot was drinking, and his daughters actually plotted against him, and they actually had intercourse with him. And out of that, you have Ammon and you have Moab, the so-called Japanese and the Chinese that came out of that. So they were a product of incest, okay? So it says here, Assyria has joined them too, and is allied with the descendants of Lot. So all the nations are against us, even to this day, from the biblical time until today. And as you see here on the chart, you have Israel, which is the 12 tribes. You have the white man, so-called white man, who was Esau, Edom, the Edomites. India, you have Elam, Assyria, Ashur, Syria, Aram, the Arabs, Ishmael, the Ishmaelites, Chinese, or Moab, or the Moabites, the Japanese, or Ammonites, the Ethiopians, Cush, or the Cushites, the Egyptians, Mizraim, North Africa, Phut, South Africans, Canaan, Turkey, Gomar, Russian, Magog, Greek, Javan, German, Ashkenaz, Spanish, Tarshish, Cyprus, Kittim. And Israel, as we know, are the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. They comprise the 12 tribes. Let me see if I can, let's see here if I can find the, let's see if I can find that chart here. Let's see here. Let's go back to the chart here. And so that lets you know these are the real biblical names and the ethnicities of the people from around the world. So the covering cast in Isaiah 25:27 is just that, a covering cast. It's a veil to keep it hidden. It's not a secret anymore now. We know what's going on now. And also in Isaiah 14, verse 1 and verse 2, on the day of the Lord, when Yahweh Shah comes back with the chariots and he gathers his elect, the other nations are going to be under slavery under us, starting with Esau, Edom, so-called white man. So you're going to have Esau in slavery. He's going to get the worst of it because he's done the worst to the Hebrew Israelites. And then you're going to have the other nations who are going to cleave to us, as it says in Isaiah 14. And they're also going to be underneath us. and they're going to be under our rulership, starting with Yahushai, King Dawid, the 144,000 administration, and then the multitude of all the Hebrew Israelites. They're going to be underneath. They're going to be our maids and our handmaidens and our servants. Let's go to Isaiah 14. We've got to prove all things. Let's go to Isaiah 14 and give you that scripture. And we're basically done here. I just wanted to highlight that the biblical ethnicities, of the nations are in the Bible. Let's go here. Let's see Isaiah 14, verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob, which is Israel, and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers, that's talking about the other nations that you see on this chart, okay, shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. Isaiah 14, verse 2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids. And they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Let's get a translation comparison. It's going to make it very, very clear. This is the NLT translation for Isaiah 14 and 2. Let's read that. The nations of the world will help the Lord's people to return, and those who come to live in their land will serve them. So all the other nations on the day of the Lord, after Babylon is burnt by the chariots and the nuclear bombs, and the elect are beamed up in the chariots, after all the chaos dies down, Yahushua is going to come back down, King Dawid, 144,000, and the multitude, the elect, are going to come back down. And there's going to be people still here on the planet living. Now, Babylon's going to be destroyed totally. It's going to be uninhabitable. But there's going to be other places around the world, and they're going to cleave to us because we're going to be in rulership, okay? So it's going to be reversed now. So all the, we've been getting shitted on, since the biblical days up to the present time by other nations, it's going to reverse. So let's read that again. The nations of the world will help the nations of the world will help the Lord's people to return. And those who come to live in their land will serve them. Those who captured Israel will themselves be captured, and Israel will rule over its enemy. So all the other nations, starting with Esau, so-called white man, the devil, and all the sons of men, the other nations, the heathen nations, they're going to serve us, okay? They had captured us. Many of these nations put us in slavery, were part of the slave trade, came against us. Ham, he came against us, the African nations. We're going to rule over them, okay? So they're going to be captured, and we're going to rule over our enemies. So I wanted to highlight that, and I hope this lesson was edifying. And on that note, all praises are due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rikah Kadash, Shalom.